champion, welcome, Danny Batten.
Fucking number one.
You win.
Hey guys, I'm Sai. Welcome to the Danny Batten Fight Show, episode number 43. Tonight we are talking Fight Island 5 from Abu Dhabi, as well as a little bit of news and a bit of this and a bit of that. Just myself and Danny today, but you can watch the show every Wednesday at 8 PM on youtube.com/AcePodcastNation. Clips on social media and Facebook. Sometimes I put the full shows on Facebook as well, but generally youtube.com/AcePodcastNation is where you can get all our shows first. You can also listen to the audio versions at your favourite radio and podcasting platform, from Spotify to Apple Podcasts and many others. But yes, today we're talking MMA and UFC. Joining me to do so is live from Abu Dhabi, Fight Island. It is ex-Cage Warriors champion, UK MMA legend, Mr. Danny Batten. How goes it, my friend?
Here I say, yeah, it's all good. Still in quarantine. 4th day, 2 days in London quarantining. And then we did the flight, which is always a pleasure to do the flight there. It's an amazing experience. We go by that Etihad, and it's a chartered flight, and the food is amazing, and the food's amazing here actually. Yeah, it's really, really good. So although it's quarantine, can be a little frustrating being stuck in and not being able to move around freely. It's made us comfortable as possible, so not overall a bad experience really.
No, it's being treated like kings.
Yeah, the only issue I do have is that the person I'm sharing a room with, who we've had on the podcast, Denison Sutherland, snores like a bloody bear.
Snorer.
Oh my god!
I've seen the video
honestly.
you put up of him.
Yeah,
That's quite something that is to share a room with. Jesus.
did you see the second video I put up?
I only saw one. I don't know really.
Look at the second one. I found a way of dealing with it.
Smothered him.
I embraced it. I'll just say that. But yeah, it's quite something. He's one of the loudest snorers I've ever known, and even if I put earplugs in, the room vibrates. It's
Jesus.
just not good. Anyway, he slept quite a lot today. You would have seen it on the Facebook, which is what you mentioned, and he slept a lot today. So I'm hoping he don't sleep tonight, so I can.
So yes, we got you live via satellite from UFC Fight Island ahead of Modestas Bukaskash fighting next Saturday. All set for that fight, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's been really smooth running in regards to his camp. We did have an issue last time round. He had like an infected bursa on his knee that inflamed somewhat, and some people noticed it before he went out to fight, and they saw it in the pictures that they do, in the short video clips that they do. He had a nasty knee situation going on, but he still managed to pull the win. This time around, there's no such issues, which is really nice. So
unless you're his opponent.
Yeah.
Let's go and take those elbows. But I'm really looking forward to it, mate, because obviously he made a very impressive debut. Unfortunately, that maybe there was a bit of, not controversy, but there was people moaning a bit about the the way it finished. I guess there was no controversy around him winning. It was just the fact that the way it kind of finished maybe took the edge off a little bit. But I think
wrongly or rightly, there are some critics regards Modestas overall, but he can't help it. He's just trying to do what he did, and the guy was concussed in some way. We saw him out the back still stumbling about, so there's clearly an issue from those elbow strikes, and they were legal, as much as there's 100%,
a lot of 100%, mate. 100%, they were legal.
it's in the past now. The W's on the record. Nothing's going to change to remove that now. So we just got to move forward, and move forward is what we've done. And we just got to try and get another win on the record now, which I feel confident of doing next weekend.
Indeed. Is he on the main card or on the prelims?
He's on the main. Yeah, he's on the main card now.
So.
Yeah, it's a big step up. I mean, Jimmy Crute's in the top 16. Yeah, he's got a good record. He's already established in the UFC, and he's well-rounded. Definitely a step up in competition, but Modestas is ready for that. So, yeah, let's get this win and step up and up and up, and let's just go for it. It's what it's all about, being in UFC. You've got to be prepared to fight anyone.
Yeah, spot on, mate. And I think Modestas has been kind of crying out for that. I mean, he's wanted like that big name, that ranked fighter. So, ranked number 16, couldn't have asked for much more, and it's just his second fight within the biggest company in the world. So,
that's right.
If he goes ahead and performs as he has done in the past, which, I hope he does, it'll be very interesting to see what they do next, because it's clear, much in the vein of, with Jack, that the UFC like him. He's an exciting fighter to watch for the neutrals. He's exciting. His style is exciting as well, isn't it? With the elbows, attacks.
Like heavyweights can be a little bit ploddy, but you're seeing more and more now that some of these light heavyweights and even heavyweights now, they're just a new breed, and they're light on their feet. They're fighting more like lightweights, and Modesta is definitely one of those stylists. He's very, very light on his feet, very acrobatic. I don't think there really is anyone in that division that has footwork quite like he does, and he can do it all day. That's the thing, that kind of active footwork.
Well, he's not like those light heavyweights in the early UFCs where they were, like you say, very plodding, very methodical and slow, and also, they were gassed out in 2-3 minutes. Which, Modestas is super fit and a very exciting fighter to watch. So I look forward to that, mate. But there's a couple of very exciting fights on that card next week, which we'll touch on them at the end of the show. But the one which sticks out straight away is Brian Ortega versus Korean Zombie. That's on paper, it's just an absolute banger. We'll discuss that in a while. Just touch on some news bits. Darren Till is offered to fight Chimaev. Look, basically Darren Till said he's willing to put his title aspirations on hold to fight Chimaev. I think I said this a couple of weeks back. I don't believe that's a great fight for Darren Till in terms of like what he gets out of it, like the positives and the negatives. I think the negatives far outweigh the positives for me. But then, I don't know, I guess, if he was to lose convincingly as Chimaev has done to everyone he's faced so far, and some big names at that, including, Welshman John Phillips, and someone, who was the last fighter that Chimaev beat recently?
I can't think of the guy's name. But the one punch.
Yeah, he just
one punch.
Flattened him, didn't he? So, like, for Darren Till, if Darren Till gets flattened in a minute, I think that does him a lot more damage because he's lost the last 2 fights.
Yeah, was it Gerald Merceret? I don't know how to pronounce his second name. Merceret.
Mescurat, I think it is, isn't it? It's the Dutch sounding name. But so if Darren Till was to get flattened in like 30 seconds to a minute, or even in the first round, that does Darren Till a lot of damage because he's lost a couple of fights recently. Whereas if Darren Till was to beat Chimaev, whether in a stoppage or on points, would that be worth the risk of fighting him at this point in time? I'm just not 100% sure.
The only way it makes sense to me is if in his mind he's like looking at taking such a fight to put him back into relevance for a title shot very quickly.
To make a statement, I guess. Is the thing,
and willing to take the risk of losing and possibly walking away from the sport. Again, we're just surmising here, but to make a decision and be so keen to fight such a potentially really dangerous adversary when you've already had a couple of losses on your record, is to be a third one.
Some big losses, mate, as well. Is the thing, isn't it? Like, he lost the title fight, didn't he? Which was obviously could have been what's the word? Could have been his crowning glory that day, and he got beaten convincingly. Look, Darren Till's an excellent fighter, and up until that title fight, everyone was talking about him as the British fighter. It goes to show you a couple of losses can make a big difference. However, on the other hand, if he was to beat Chimaev convincingly, that kind of puts his reputation right back up there again. So I can see why. He's obviously still confident in his ability, despite he discussed after his loss that he was maybe wasn't not right mentally, but he was apprehensive coming into the fight like he had never been before. So I think there's a bit of everything to it. I can see the benefits to both. I just want to see Darren Till back to Darren Till at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I want to see him being him again.
Yeah, because there are some interesting chops that would be intriguing fights.
Yeah, he's an exciting fighter to watch, mate, as well.
Yeah, but let's just see. I don't think they are going to match that one up, though. I don't think
they'll do it yet. I think actually Darren Till probably will get a title fight because didn't he fight at a different weight the last time, which wasn't his normal weight class.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where they go with Darren Till next. What else have we got news-wise? Staying on Chimaev, Michael Chiesa said it's not good business to fight Chimaev at the moment. I don't think it takes a rocket science to work that one out at the moment. However, if someone can stop him now, I think it's you're going to get a big rub from that from a promotional point of view, aren't you? But the thing which is making me laugh, to a certain extent, is everyone's building Chimaev up as like this unbeatable monster. Someone will beat him. I'd be very surprised if he goes his whole career unbeaten. Someone will beat him, and it's like, do you back yourself to be that guy at the end of the day? I'm just not sure, mate. Who would you match him against next?
Leon Edwards. I think that'll be a really good match.
It'd be a good fight to watch.
Yeah. Leon Edwards. I don't think he's been getting quite the attention he deserves.
No, he absolutely is not.
He's been wrecking people. He's been looking better than ever, and he's really on a roll. I'd say match him up with someone like that. Someone who's going to really take it to him. His takedown defense has been exemplary of late, and his striking's clearly there. He's got all the power in the world, and he'll meet force on force a little bit, and I definitely think he'll take it beyond one round. We see more of Chimaev's actual skill set in terms of strategy. See how he deals with several rounds, but that's what I think would be a more exciting matchup.
Yeah, I like the sound of that fight. I think that's a good
they both stand to gain, and they've both still got enough momentum that even if either of them lost against each other, they've still got plenty of momentum, to keep things in the higher end of the matchups and the matching. So
indeed.
I don't think it'd knock them down much.
In the middleweight division, Chris Weidman kind of called out Israel Adesanya after Adesanya destroyed a certain what's his name? I always forget his name. Diego Costa. Last week. Israel Adesanya was, as we discussed, looked impressive as hell.
Absolutely.
I do not think Chris Weidman is the guy to beat or to dethrone Israel Adesanya, but it is the fight game, and you never know. However, Israel Adesanya agrees with me because he said I would squash him in a round, so he kind of put that one to bed, I think.
But I actually think it would be a good fight to have, because I think Weidman, he's definitely in the twilight of his career, and I think it's make or break for him. And for him to be calling out that fight, I think he knows that, if he's going to have a chance, he has to try and jump in at a prime opportunity. And I think creating a bit of a noise now to try and get a matchup like that, I think it's a shot to nothing for him. I think if he loses, he retires, and if he wins, he laments himself as a great, because he did the unthinkable to Anderson Silva. So I think if he makes a secondary statement against, I just think that'd be painful. I think it'd be a good matchup. Why not?
They could make worse matchups.
He'll be motivated. I think we'll bring out the best in him.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm not really having it, but I'm sure it'll be a pretty good fight. Looks like Bryce Mitchell is coming back soon, which I like. Look forward to him trying to nail those twisters again. I'm just going to touch on Bellator very briefly, mate, from last night, because I haven't really seen any. But the Chet Congo fought. What did you make of his performance? Because he fought Timothy Johnson.
I didn't see it.
He lost. I can tell you that much. I did watch a bit of it. Look, how can I word this? Chet Congo is basically, he's kind of got like a bit of a name for himself. He's well known. He lost via split decision. Didn't think he was very good. I don't think he's like a world beater or a potential, all-time great. But he does do pay-per-view buys or ratings or whatever for Bellator in the UK.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, that he will get fights. It's just I think he's one of those which just needs to be matched up against the kind of the right people.
I mean, he's in his 40s now, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's in his 40s, but still in amazing shape. Given that, absolutely cool guy. I've hung around with him quite a bit. He's quite good friends with Linton Vassell, and when we're hanging out and stuff, sometimes we'll go out for a meal, and he'll get it in for all of us, and he brings everyone along. There could be like 20 people there, and he'll treat us all to a good old slap up meal. Proper nice, generous, fun guy to be around. Always joking about, really positive, orientated character. Yeah,
excellent.
Good guy.
Did you catch any of the Bellator fights?
The Bellator. Yeah, I watched the Michael Page Ross Houston fight. And in the first round, I thought Ross Houston was okay, he's got something about him here, really patient. Not rushing in, getting caught with Page's speed. But in the second and third round, Page really impressed me with his counter wrestling, and actually ended up taking Houston down. Now, Houston dominated that first round on the ground, but couldn't get anything off because of this unusual type of hold that Page used because of his long, slender limbs. He tied him up with his arms and legs and pinned in the side control position. So although he was underneath, Houston just couldn't get nothing off. But I still think the first round went to Houston. But once Page figured Houston out and got those counter takedowns, he actually looked much more dangerous on top than Houston did when he was on top. And he just stole the second and third round. So it weren't really the strike fest that Page normally puts on. I think people are not finding him out so much, but I think they're knowing not to rush in with him. And he's not good at going forward so much. He normally waits on someone trying to think about coming in or actually coming in, and he paps you. But didn't quite see that from him. And I think the crowd starts to boo quite often with him because I think they find it frustrating because he makes the other opponent become a little gun shy as well. And there can be a long standoff periods of him bouncing around and nothing really happening. But when he did make something happen, he was looking quite good. And great, he goes to 18-1 now. I mean, what a record to have under a promotion such as Bellator. You can't take it away from the kid. He's getting the wins. Keeps doing it.
Yeah, he's stacking them up, mate.
He is. And there's another guy that I spent a little bit of time with on and off. Not so much on hanging out with all day type of scenario. But whenever I have met him and he's come to our gym before, super, super nice guy. Got time for everybody. People get a perception of these fighters because of what they see with their persona before fights and the way they talk in the media. But yeah, he's a good guy, man. Real good guy.
Sweet. I caught the highlights of the Oliver Enkamp versus Emmanuel Dawa, which was the main event or the co-main event just before the Michael Page fight on Bellator 24, whatever it was, 248, which Oliver Enkamp won via a Japanese necktie in 4 minutes 10 seconds of the first round. What I would like you to do, mate, is I know you haven't seen this fight. I'd like you to talk me through what a Japanese necktie is.
Okay. I'm actually going to have a little look, because when you say Japanese...
We're going old school, mate, like those early episodes when I used to make you explain
look at it
everything.
Because I am not good with names of techniques. This is something I've never claimed to be. So when you say Japanese, I think I know what you're on about, but I'm just going to quickly have a review of it. Cool. It was the Oliver one, yeah?
Yeah, Oliver Enkamp versus Emmanuel Dawa.
Because
just remember to keep talking.
Yeah,
for the audio guys. But Oliver Enkamp, mate's been stacking up those wins in Bellator as well. He's
how many fights he had now?
So his record before this fight was 9-2, so he's 10-2 now. He's 29, so he's a good age.
Yes, a good age.
Going. He's coming to his peak, if some would say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a good, healthy sort of like stats to have against your name at that sort of age. As long as they keep him busy and keep him in there. Yeah,
I think he's one of those guys who they need to keep active. So
I'm just trying.
Just while you have a little, I'll tell you what we'll do then. Just while you have a little look at that, I will go through the Bellator results, just for the people who like to keep track. So we had Bellator 248, which was main evented by Michael Page. He beat Ross Houston by unanimous decision. Oliver Enkamp defeated Emmanuel Dawa by submission via Japanese necktie, as we're about to discuss. Alan Omar defeated Ryan Scope via submission strikes. And Mads Burnell defeated Darko Banovic via TKO strikes. So a lot of finishes there on the Bellator 248 card. And it seemed like a night generally for finishes, because there was a few finishes in the old UFC as well. Then we also had the prelims for that show were basically Bellator Europe 10. So they had, like, they do these on YouTube basically. So the main card, it was Timothy Johnson defeating Chet Congo via split decision. Saul Rogers defeated Arbi Mezagdidov via submission rear naked choke. And then you had the prelims. One fight which I am going to check out is Kieran Clark defeated Jean Ndoye via unanimous decision. I've heard that was a really good fight. Kieran Clark won 30-26, 30-27, 30-27. So it looks like it was quite one-sided, or at least by the card. So we'll have a look at that later on, I think. But talk us through it then, mate, because then we'll get on to the UFC stuff.
So it's almost like a wrestling grip where you block the back of the head and neck down, which makes it really hard for you to escape the setup itself. Then when he sits off, you sort of lace up one of the legs again, which hampers you trying to find a way out. It's almost like a side-on guillotine with your neck all crinked in. It's just like one of those submissions that once it's bedding, it's nigh on impossible to escape, because your head's compressed, your legs are laced up so you can't get access to your feet on the floor to run out of the technique, and the choke it's a choke and crank all in one.
Wow.
It's a nasty affair. It's not something nice to be in. I mean, no submission's nice to be in, but
it looks nasty.
Yeah, when you get put in something like an armbar, you can sort of like feel out how far you want to take it. But with that sort of technique, when it gets put on, it's like it's pretty much done. With arm bars and things like that, you've got a chance of running out picking up, slamming, and
Yeah,
there's hopes
sure.
for you. But yeah, it's all set up from like a wrestling style situation. You block heavily on top of that head so they can't kick up and out of it. Then when
It
they
looks
start
like one of
sitting
those
through,
ones that's very fiddly to get out. Like it's very difficult to actually maneuver yourself out of it because
yeah,
everything's kind of tied up, isn't it?
yeah, it's almost like it's a bit like a concept of a twister. Really, you have to start getting control of different elements of the body that spread out across a wide spectrum of the body parts, and then you're just absolutely done for. It's like you're tied up with your big toe, your thumb, and someone's tying your hair to the wall. It's just like all your limbs are sort of tied up. Yeah, it's impressive because just goes to show his wrestling transition. He sort of set it up from almost like a sprawl situation where he's like his opponent was in a turtle position. He was like north-south to him on top.
Yeah.
And then come round to that side to lace up the leg. It was nice. It was definitely intended. It wasn't something that sort of just fell in place. He prepped that up. That's clearly something that he goes for in training, and he had an instinct for it for the real scenario, and he pulled it off very nicely.
Yes, he did. But yeah, I thought Bellator put another decent show on for the bits I saw and what I've heard. A couple of weeks in a row now, they've had some good shows.
Yeah, because Bellator can blow hot and cold with some of their shows. Some of them, like the way they do some of the shows, leave you scratching your head on why they put it on at all. They do some funny and strange mashups. But yeah, that was a good one.
Oh yeah, right. Let's get cracking on this UFC card. We're going to focus on the main card, but I do want to mention. I couldn't not mention it. I haven't seen the full fight, but I have seen the finish, as probably as every MMA fan in the world this morning or this evening. Joaquin Buckley scored an all-time great KO finish at Fight Island 5 on the prelims. With so kind of to talk us through it, he goes for a kick, which I can't think of what the name of it is. The type of kick.
Yeah, he gets it caught,
and his foot gets caught, and he basically just he kind of goes for the kick which he goes for initially. It's not like a big powerful kick. It's like just a kick to the chest, isn't it? And his Casanagri, who's his opponent, catches his foot. So he catches his left foot, and then as he's got his foot in his hand, he comes off the ground with his other foot and nails him with a spinning kick with his right foot right in the face and the nose and the jaw. It's like the very base of his foot connects as he's in the air. You don't see many spin kicks, mate.
No, you don't.
Hit
not like that
clean, do you?
No, not when someone's elevating both feet off the floor like that because one of your legs have been caught. But
and the lesson to be learned there.
Yeah, the lesson to be learned there is you don't catch a kick with both hands unless it's a teep. So if it's a teep and you catch with both hands, you can lift the teep up. So it creates off balance. It tips them back, and you can actually take them down with that situation. So there's no follow up technique. But when you're catching something, when they've turned the hip and you're catching it with both hands and they've turned their hips, they can rotate the other leg over. And you catch with one hand, and the other one's to initiate a counter. But catching a kick with two hands, what are you going to do with it? what are you going to do? You've got to try and run a takedown, but the only way you're going to do that is off of a teep, not a side-on catch. But it was great. Let's not take anything away from that kick. It was so creative. It was beautiful. Beautiful.
It's one of those ones which will be played in all the entrance clips and the it'll be played for years and years to come, won't it? That's just one of those ones now which is there forever. Very impressive, brutal, and the way he went down as well was just added to the kind of dramatic.
It was like a cowboy being shot in the film on the roof, and they sort of stop, pause, and then they fall over.
Yes, it was brutal. Won't do him any harm at all in terms of getting his name out there and whatnot.
Yeah.
So first fight of the main card was Yusuf Zalai versus Ilya Topuria. What did you make of this one, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, Topuria was really impressive all the way through. I mean, this guy, he wanted to put Zalal away, but what impressed me about was Zalal is his ability to escape those submissions, resist those submissions, and still show that he was relevant throughout the match, trying to hunt for that knee knockout. I think maybe that's what went against him a little bit. I know the commentators were saying that he wants to win, he wants to get a finish with these knees, but maybe he's hunting from it and it's taken away from potential other skill sets that he might have. But he was throwing these knees up, and some of them were getting close, so they were good knees. But Topuria was just hitting him with everything. He was coming in with good hands, good kicks, beautiful takedowns, and that belly to belly he nailed Zalil with. Very, very nice. And the transitions on the ground, his submissions were tight, really, really tight. But Zalil just showed great resilience and would get up and start countering. Both showed great cardio. I liked the way Zalil come out for that second round because he lost the first one, quite conclusively, and Zalil started trying to take Topuria down, and it nearly pulled off for him. But Topuria again showed really, really good anti-wrestling and reversed the situation and started to dominate the ground situation again in that second round. I really liked the way Topuria, when Zalal was really tight on his hip with a deep double, he switched his footwork, completely reversed it, and it disconnects your arms. It makes you not be able to be taken down in that situation. But the referee was being a bit harsh on him. I think it was in that second round. He was chopping in those elbows to the side of the head, but the ref was complaining those to the back of the head. I think he was pretty close to having a point. Now, we didn't have a great angle to really see, but he's really looking at the ref and looked a little confused. Now, I don't know. Maybe the ref just thought it was a bit borderline. Yeah, but Topuria looked a little bit nervous to throw any more elbows in that situation, and but he's had so many other skill sets to go to, it wasn't an issue for him. But just the grappling. It's one of those fights that I'll go back and have a second look at because he showed some great controls in transitions as well. He was putting one hook in the turtle position and then hooking up that shoulder, lacing up the shoulder to pull him over to take the back to get submission opportunities. Those really nice transitions. I actually think he exhausted himself with trying to put this fight away because he actually started to look gassed in the latter half of the third round, and Zalil really started coming at him, and it looked like, oh my God, can he start trying to create something here that can take away all the hard work that Topuria had put in? And Zalil, he had belief in himself on the ground as well. He went for a really nice submission guillotine that looked really tight on Topuria, and I thought, oh my God, he's got him here. He really had his neck buckled over, but he'd done the thumbs up to the referee. He didn't look like he was in any trouble at all, although it looked uncomfortable from the angle that I was watching it at. He clearly was comfortable, got out of it and continued his dominance. Really, really impressed with him. His striking looked good, his wrestling looked good, his grappling was incredible. I'm really excited to see this guy fight again. And well done to Zalal, up against someone skillful. He's unbeaten, isn't he, Topuria? He's continuing to be unbeaten. Zalal still put up a pretty good performance. I think he'll learn from it. I think one of the lessons he should learn is that he shouldn't be aiming to win one way. Open up all to your other skill sets. I think he overthrew that knee, and I think he could have put some hands in and set up that knee a little bit better maybe, and given himself some more cleaner chances.
Indeed. Talk to me about Englishman Tom Aspinall and his UFC debut.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big dude as well. His stats are like 6'5", isn't he? He is a big boy. Alan Budot, I think is how you pronounce his name. He's aggressive. He comes there. He wants to overwhelm. He wants to come in strong. But Tom Aspinall come aggressive as well. And he just kept chopping that right hand, didn't he? He landed one, and he kept piston pumping that right hand, and every one of them was landing on Alan's barnet. And then done the takedown, landed into mount. And again, we say about the size, landed in that mount position. Alan Budot couldn't turn to Turtle to try to create a situation to stand back up, and was stuck on like a side position. And that don't look good for the ref, because it looks like you're turning away but can't complete the turn to try to get a chance to look like you're going to escape the mount position. He got stuck in that half position, and you can't intelligently defend there. Well done to Ty Aspinall. I really liked his when he was interviewed afterwards. He was not in any rush. I really liked the way he was being realistic, wanting to bring too much attention to himself. He says he's got lots to still learn, and just the way he was talking to Dan Hardy made me think, this guy is in it for the long haul. I think he's there to stay, and he's there to make waves for good years to come. Yeah,
there was something about him, wasn't there? The way he was talking, it was very level-headed, very just realistic. Like he didn't get too overexcited with it.
No,
but I thought he did as well as he could have, really. He couldn't have done any more. He finished him nicely. And I thought, actually, these next the first opening 3 fights, actually, of the main card, was kind of like 3 young guys hungry to make a name for themselves and stamp some, try and get some attention towards them as they try and carve out a career in, the biggest MMA company in the world. And you had, obviously, the 2 guys in the first fight, Topuria and Zalal, both very impressive in their own way. Topuria particularly. Then you had Englishman Tom Aspinall won within a minute and a half, which is obviously an impressive way to come. And then you had Draika Duplicies versus Marcus Perez, with Duplicies coming in last minute to face a very experienced opponent in Marcus Perez. And he did it. He got it done in 3 minutes 22. And I thought in that 3 minutes 22, even though he's very, very unorthodox in the way he looks and his form and the way he fights, he looks really unorthodox, Duplicies, to me. I thought his counter strikes were very, very good. Several times before the finish.
He did okay. He was a little off balance. Perez they had opposite stance for starters, and then they were really different stylistically. Duplicies' guard was really, really quite tight to his face, and then you had Perez, who comes out really loose with his guard, almost like a Conor McGregor style.
Yes.
Now Duplicies was trying to do his kicks, but he wasn't turning his hip all the way through, so some of his kicks were running short, and it made him off balance a little bit. So
they almost looked lazy, didn't they? Those low kicks.
Well, he just wasn't pivoting on the grounded foot properly to get the hip into play.
Maybe lazy is not the right word. Half-hearted, maybe, is better way to describe
it. He looked off balance. It just didn't look like a natural kicker.
No, but he kept going for him.
But he had a really tight defence, and I think that helped see him through to the latter part of that round. And Perez, when you fight with such a low down guard, there's a possibility you're going to get tagged, and tagged is what happens. Now, he got hit, and it was curtains from the get go. I mean, he got put down, and Duplicies followed up, and the ref jumped in, and that was it. But he was looking good up until that point, but he just overcommitted with no guard. You can't really go around doing that, not in that weight division. But bless Duplicies, he was so excited to be there. His enthusiasm, excitement to experience the UFC was very childlike, and then you saw it as well as he pulled off the win. It was like 2 Christmases in one for him. Brilliant. I'm happy for the lad. I think we will see him a little cleaner, a little clinical. I think he was a bit excited
he was
about the whole experience.
Clearly, wasn't he?
Yeah,
you could see that.
And Perez's unorthodox, difficult striking style probably made him kick a little short and made him a little off balance there. He must have had a lot of tension in his body. The kid was well excited, and I think I can put some of that poor kicking technique down to the fact that he had a lot of tension and excitement in his body. Let's see what the kid can do when he's coming in with a proper camp. Looked in amazing shape though. I mean, his physique was very chiselled. clearly trains hard all year round, keeps himself in shape. Yeah, we can't really take much more from that fight than that. I mean, Perez got to learn a lesson there. I think he disrespected, underestimated Duplicies.
Yeah, do you know what I thought what he did was the first couple of minutes. I thought he respected him, and he was trying to pressure him, obviously. But I thought after almost like he noticed the same thing that you did about his kicks, and then I felt like he kind of eased off, and he didn't give him the same respect that he had in the initial exchanges, and I think that cost him, because once Duplicies stopped relying or stopped going to those kicks, which weren't, for various reasons, doing him any favours, and when he was relying, or when he went back towards more kind of hand strikes, but like counter strikes, so like every time Perez would go for a big shot, Duplicies would either check it or block it and hit him back with a much better, cleaner shot. And he did that a couple of times in that last couple of minutes of the fight. And obviously, even that shot which he finishes him with, Perez kind of walked into it as he was sort of crouching down.
He did.
And I think that's what almost made it such a damaging shot, was that he walked into a big hook right behind the ear.
Yeah.
And he just went down. But
I think
I'd be interested to see what Duplicies could do, like you said, with a full camp, and maybe just a little more relaxed and less nervous.
Yeah, I think initially that one that hit him sort of like on the ear, slightly behind the ear, I think that one just knocked him off balance. But the second punch that went in actually landed on the side of his jaw as he was on his way down. I think that's the one that put it to bed. Yeah. It's not much more we can really say about that.
Not much you could say about that one.
Yeah. Perez has got to go back to the drawing board and let's see how Duplicies performs with a proper camp.
Indeed. So next up, would you describe this one as a shock? But Ben Rothwell faced Marcin Tybura, with Marcin Tybura picking up the win via unanimous decision. 29-27, 29-27, 29-27. First and foremost, did you count this as a shock victory?
Yeah, I was surprised. Ben Rothwell was a difficult opponent to fight against. He's a big lump of a guy that has really good cardio, although his body don't look like he could uphold good cardio, but he has got good cardio, and he's got a really pressing, smothering game. He'll strike, he can clinch up. He's a real spoiler of your game, and it looked like he was going to do that at the beginning, but Tybura was really, really relaxed. He was counter-striking a little cleaner than Rothwell, and I think Ben Rothwell, the mistake he made was he come out the block so hard, so fast. I think he thought the fight was going to be easier than it was, and he really just kept going with that hard pace, but the thing is he was missing a lot. He was really throwing out a lot of strikes, and it made for great viewing. And it's an amazing that these big guys can throw as many shots as they was. I mean, you would put that kind of statistical throwing of shots in a middleweight or lower bout. But Ben Rothwell was impressive what he did in the first round, but I felt like he started to feel the pace in the second and third, and Marcin Tybura started taking over. He just had a tighter, better defense than Rothwell, and was picking his shots more than Rothwell. So even though he might not have thrown as many shots overall, I think he was.
Yeah. Oh, Danny's frozen. Just frozen up a bit there, mate.
Are we good?
Yeah, you're back now. Just froze up for a second, mate.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben Rothwell, mate. I was surprised by his performance.
Yeah, bad game plan. I just think he pushed too hard in that first round. And
do you think that's ultimately what's cost him, though? Like, you don't think that?
Yeah, I like I say, I really do rate him. But then again, Tybura really performed incredibly as well. So I just think Ben Rothwell could have performed better. That would have made it a much closer fight, and then could have perhaps gone either way. But because he really shot his bolt in that first round, it didn't look so convincing in that second and third round. But Marcin Tybura, he's looking better than ever. He's clearly making improvements. He's a new kid on the block. These divisions are really hotting up. They really are.
Yeah, every division is the same, isn't it? I think if you look back, maybe I know like 25 shows ago from what we were doing, we were talking about certain divisions, whether it's like the bantamweight or the lightweight divisions being just incredible, but some of the other divisions maybe weren't quite as hot or as deep. But Tybura's 34, which he's coming to the latter side of his career, but he's by no means at the end of his career. I think he's
not in that weight division.
Highly skilled fighter, black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's that heavyweight. Those heavyweights will go to 40, won't they? At the end of the day.
Yeah, they can. He's got a good 6-7 years if he keeps it clean, and I think he can.
Unless a young lion comes in and cleans out the division, basically, isn't it? These guys will keep going.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to happen that way though with the heavyweights. It does seem to be the guys in their 30s that sort of do better.
Keep going and going, never ending. Ben Rothwell, he'll be back, and he'll be back on the horse as such, but just got things wrong. It happens, I guess.
Yeah.
Next up, we had number 14 ranked Edson Barboza facing Makwan Americani, with Barboza taking the victory via unanimous decision. Some would say they were surprised that it went all the way to a decision, but the scores were 30-26, 30-27, 29-28. So those scores, do they tell the story, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. Edson Barboza is looking incredible at this weight division. It's just amazing to look at his physique and think that he can get down to featherweight now. Incredible. Always comes with bags of cardio, bags of explosivity, and really honing his game. He's showing good ground skills, superb takedown defense, and he's striking. He just really picks his shots. Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised Imakari got to the end of it, because he was getting crunched up with that cross right hand, and crunched up big. Really, really big. And he was getting Barboza down in that second and third round with literally 6 seconds left on the clock. No time to work whatsoever. I think he could have, because he knew he could get Barboza down, why did he not try and do this in the beginning sort of minute and a half of each round? Just try to get some work rate off and try to get Barboza's fuel tank lower so that his strikes are less sharp. I think trying to let Barboza go at his own pace, everything's going to have full venom on it. It's going to have precision on it, and it's going to be a difficult and dangerous night for you. Someone like Barboza, you have to press into him with the wrestling. You have to take the edge out of his game. But he didn't do it. He was doing it always at the latter end of the fight when he was already way behind on the scorecard. Yeah, so, he's got to learn from that. And when you're facing someone as good a striker like that, you've got to press to try and take him down. And even if you don't succeed in that taking down, you want to hope that those attempts take that little zap of energy out and make them less effective themselves.
Yeah, I was just having a look to see how big Barboza is. He's 5'11", but it's frightening that he's down to featherweight, mate. I've got to say.
Because
since he has done that,
he's looked good.
Man. Bad man.
He's looking good. He's looking good because he is a more physical fighter. So, maybe in that lightweight division, there's some big lightweights. Maybe he just couldn't make that physicality, push through. Because, he is technical as well. But, he does everything full force, and I think if he can force his physicality on someone, along with that crisp technique that he has, I think that makes him a difficult adversary to beat, opponent to beat. And yeah, I'm excited for him. Yeah, I mean, who they match him up against now?
It's interesting,
quite
isn't it?
exciting.
Because obviously he faced Danny in May, and it was like a mad back and forth fight. If you remember, it was really entertaining fight, which went back and forth, and it was a split decision which went in Eag's favour. But this one, he was never in any danger, and he just utterly, pretty much about as one-sided as you can get without a finish. Really so sharp, so sharp. And I know, like Joe Rogan described Barbosa as the best kicker in the MMA. He's a big fan of his technique and his switch kicks and stuff. But I just think Barbosa just looks like he's got a bit of I don't know if you'd say excitement. There's something about him where he looks like he's got a taste for it again. Like he looks really sharp. He looks really motivated. Kind of very, just I don't know what the word is to describe it. He just looks like he's bang up for it, basically.
Yeah, he's looking enthusiastic.
Yeah,
he's looking very enthusiastic, and he's enjoying. He looks like he's really enjoying his experience in there as well.
Oh yeah. So I'll be interested. That UFC featherweight division is obviously one of the divisions we've talked about previously, which is just jam packed. But let's have a little quick look at the rankings. We're alright for time, so let's got those UFC rankings. Featherweight. Featherweight. Volkanovski right up the top, of course. And that's the thing, is like these divisions are so deep. Like straight away you've got someone like Volkanovski and John Max Holloway at the top.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that's one hell of a division. So we got the top 5: Volkanovski, Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, who fights next week, Zabit, Korean Zombie, who's fighting Ortega next week, Yair Rodriguez, Calvin Kattar, Josh Emmett, Arnold Allen, Jeremy Stevens, Dan Ige, Shane Burgos, Sadiq Youssef, who he was supposed to fight this fight, but Sadiq Youssef pulled out, Ryan Hall, and then Barbosa himself. Now, to me, I think you've either got to do Sadiq Youssef, who was supposed to be this fight. You try and run that back one more time. If he doesn't, because he's 2 rankings above Barbosa. I would dare say Barbosa will go up at least 1 now. Or you go with maybe Dan Ige again, run that back, because they had a banger of a fight.
Yeah, they did, but I don't know whether you've got to think Barbosa's
4 rankings above him.
He's clocking up some mileage now. I'd say let's get him up there and get him some proper real opportunities. I would like to see him fight Zabit.
Zabit, that's a big jump though. That is like Zabit's ranked number 3, but then here's a fight. So Barbosa's ranked 14 before this fight. Do you know who number 15 is?
What?
Bryce Mitchell.
Ah.
Now, if I'm the UFC, Bryce Mitchell's the future of that division. He's young. He's on an unbelievable roll. Him versus Edson Barbosa is a match that you can do like a ESPN, what's it called, UFC on ESPN. Those non-pay-per-view shows. That's like a co-main event for me. Bryce Mitchell versus Barbosa. I think that's a great fight. Now, whilst I accept what you're saying, Barbosa maybe at his age and his time of life, whatever, his time of his career, he wants to be right up there. Unfortunately, though, he's ranked 14. You've got Dan Ige, who's beaten him, who's ranked number 10. How can you can't really justify him skipping Dan Ige when Ige beat him.
But Dan Ige, he's had these losses just recently, though, hasn't he? He's dropping back.
Did he lose one? Yeah. Then you got Jeremy Stevens ranked number 9, maybe.
Yeah.
Be interesting what they do. But then you got Kelvin Qatar and fought Danny, didn't he? I think a couple of months back.
Yeah.
Who won that?
I mean, that would be a great strike fest, seeing Barbosa and Qatar. Can you imagine? They're both clinical strikers.
In May 16th, Barbosa had lost to Danny in that crazy fight via a split decision, and then Qatar beat Danny in July 15th via a decision. So I mean, any combination of those three, Ig, Barbosa and Qatar, I think is workable. You know, you can make a shout for any of that. And then when you throw in like a Bryce Mitchell, and then you've got other guys like Sadiq and Jeremy Stevens. You know, there's some good fights in there. Good, especially for those kind of, you know, everyone wants to fight at the moment, don't they? You know, everybody wants to get in on the action. You've got shows every week. There's these ESPN cards which they need to get some good fights on, which are not pay-per-view maybe worthy yet. And I think all of those fights that we just discussed, whether it's Qatar, whether it's Ig, whether it's Bryce Mitchell, even a Jeremy Stevens, maybe. Yeah, I think that would be lower down the card, but certainly those other ones we mentioned, all of those are, you know, ESPN co-main events for me.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to see what they do. But anyway, but Edson Barboza, exceptionally impressive. Towards the end of that third round, just after the referee stood him up for inactivity, Barboza cracked him with like a big left hook, and then he hit this body kick, and you could hear the slap of the midsection. And I just remember when I was watching it, I was thinking, his body felt that. And at the end of the third round of this fight, I'm pretty sure he didn't need that. But Barbosa was good. Speaking of good and impressive, the main event was number 4 ranked Corey Sandhagen versus number 1 ranked Marlon Moraes. And Corey Sandhagen continued his impressive run, mate.
Yeah, really creative striking. He works from top to bottom. He works your legs, your body, your head, and he does it from different types of techniques. He really puts off full display of MMA striking. He just outgunned Moraes, and more importantly, took away Moraes' ability to throw those leg kicks. He's throwing his own leg kicks, switching up his punches, and just Moraes being able to chase Sandhagen down and call him up so he could land those leg kicks. He got a couple of leg kicks through, but nothing that was going to be consequential. To me, Marlon Moraes has shown himself to be a bit of a one-trick pony with his striking. Yes, he has got power in his hands, but his ability to make them count on a regular basis is not there. He's sort of like become fearful for his leg kicks, and I think he hunts for them, but he just doesn't have the footwork capability and the dexterity in his striking format to be able to disguise them to make them work on a regular basis. Now it seems to be found out. He's not looked that convincing in his last few fights, and I worry for Marlon that he may be on the way of declining with his results, and there's a new breed coming up and through.
Yeah, these fighters, though, mate, that division is just insane. As we've talked about it before. Like the level in that division is just frightening. Like all the way right down the rankings to like 20, 30 is just this incredible stuff. What would you do with Sandhagen next?
Yeah,
very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, who we got in that sort of top 5?
So your top 5, you got Petr Yan is the champion. Then you had Moraes, which is, he was number 1 ranked. He's out the way. Yeah. So really, should he get a shot at Petr Yan next? Aljamain Sterling is number 2. Cody Garbrandt 3. Corey Sandhagen 4. Frankie Edgar 5. Pedro Munez 6. Aldo, and then you're down to your Mirab.
Yeah, I mean, based
Cruz.
on that performance, he's ready for anyone, literally. You get him in there against Peter Yang, that'd be a fantastic matchup.
I think I believe Dana. I'm going off memory now, so but I believe Dana White said Aljamain Sterling's getting the next shot, which he should do.
Right.
So
Okay. Yeah, that's
just give
fair
Corey Sandhagen the winner.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? I think he's ready.
They're just keeping it warm for Jack Shaw, mate. Anyway, you know that.
Maybe so. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm obviously no Brett Johns in that division now either, which is still odd to me because he was really looked like he was going to be in the rankings by the end of the year.
Sure.
Top 15. He was on the brink and he looked like a couple more wins and he might be in that top 15. But got to do what's best for your family, mate, always. And,
That's right.
That's what he did. But I'll be interested to see what they do with Jack Shaw, actually, over the next 12 months. Because, like, I was just thinking about, like, obviously Modestus has got this big fight next Saturday with someone who's number 16 ranked. If he does the business, which we hope and expect, he's going to be, into fighting people in the rankings. And I see a similar path for Jack as well. I've got to be honest. But
Yeah.
we'll see. like I said to you before, mate. I'd like to see Jack Shaw face some legends, and there's a lot of legends in that bantamweight division. Is there? Not?
There is.
It's full of them. From Aldo to Edgar and many others in between. So it'll be interesting to see where we go for that. What do you think of that show overall, though, mate? Did you think that was a good one to watch? A lot of finishes.
It was, yeah. It's always nice to see some finishes on the card. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. There's another good one. We're being spoilt lately. I think we're gonna have an expectation now to always have these fantastic cards. I mean, next week's banging as well.
I'm really looking forward. Next week, I think I've been banging on about it for like the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Guy, really looking forward to it. Let's do our predictions for that because obviously, what unbelievably, next week is Ortega Korean Zombie. The week after that is UFC 254, which is, even though they've had some fights taken off that card, is still an absolutely insane card with Whittaker versus Kanye, Walt Harris versus Volkov, Islam Makhachev versus Rafael Dos Anjos, Cynthia Calvillo versus Lauren Murphy, Kutalaba versus Ankelelov. There's a prelim fight on that card which shows how ridiculous this card is. Stefan Struve versus Tai Tuivasa is on the prelims.
I suppose I've still got that Struve because he's lost his last however many in a row, hasn't he?
Yeah, but though that's just going to be something brutality, isn't it? It's just going to be bang, punch for punch, like. I'm expecting to see a certain Welsh fella on one of these cards. I don't think there's anything announced yet, though. Okay, gonna pick out some of these fights for next week, mate. Not gonna go through all of them because there's some great fights, though. So there's a couple of Nurmagomedov fellas on these cards next week. Saeed Nurmagomedov, Umar, and of course Khabib, all fighting on these Fight Island cards. So John Phillips is fighting Yu Hong Park on the prelims next Saturday. Which way would you see that one going?
Yu Hong.
John Phillips needs a win.
Even
though,
does.
like, we've talked about the fact they probably keep him around because he's entertaining and you know he's gonna give you a good fight. I do think he needs a win.
I'm not so sure.
I'll go with my fellow Welshman, John Phillips, for that one. Who else we got? I'm not going to go through all of them. Thomas Almeida versus Jonathan Martinez. I remember watching Almeida recently, and he was pretty good.
Yeah.
I remember.
I'm going to go Martinez. But that's that's a hard one. That is a hard one. I'm going to go Martinez.
That's opening up the main card as well. And then we got Jimmy Crute, a very experienced campaigner, facing the young lion Modestas Bukaskash. I don't need to ask you which way you're going on that one, do I?
Going to go Modestas, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Modestas as well. I'd be amazed if he doesn't do the business, I've got to be honest. But, you know, it's the fight game, so you never know. But, you know. Caitlin Chikadian versus Jessica Andrade. That will be a good fight.
Yeah, this is another hard one to say who's going to win here.
I was very critical of Caitlin Chikadian the last time she fought. But I'm going to actually go for her to make amends and put up a good performance.
Yeah.
Jessica Andrade is good though.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go. I'll go Jessica then, let's just fix it up.
Even it up.
That's a hard one to predict as well.
Some good fights though on this card. And the main event of the evening, Brian Ortega versus the Korean Zombie. That is so difficult.
Yeah, I'm going to go Korean Zombie. I just think he's going to. I think he's going to cut Brian Ortega. I think he's going to cut him up.
Brian Ortega cuts easy as well.
Yeah, I just think Zombie's good with his elbows and knees. I just think,
yeah.
Over 5 rounds.
Korean Zombie, mate, is
but he's cracking on in years now.
He's 33. My thing with Korean Zombie is he's got to be. His head's got to be in the right place. Like, some days he's turned up and he's just not quite with it, and then other days he's turned up and he looks an absolute, like a champion, like absolute winner.
Brian Ortega, it's been a while since his last fought.
He's been injured, haven't he? He had a serious. I think he was sure he had like a serious knee injury.
Right.
Let me just double check that. I'm sure he had like a bad knee injury after his last fight, and that's why he hasn't fought. But he got busted up, didn't he, by Holloway?
Yeah.
I'm sure he had a knee injury. But yeah, if you remember, him and Holloway absolutely, they went for it, didn't they? And Holloway just devastated him. Yeah, he had a knee injury, ACL, I think, or something. But look, on his day, Brian Ortega's capable of beating anyone. But
crikey, look, that's coming up 2 years ago that he last fought.
Taken a lot of damage, didn't he, over the years, Brian Ortega, and I'm gonna look, for the sake of the show's prediction, I'll go with Brian Ortega. But if Korean Zombie is, if he's got his focus on, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick apart Brian Ortega either. So it's going to be a very close fight, very enjoyable fight either way. I'd be amazed if it's a bore fest, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, if Brian wins, I think he's going to put Zombie asleep, and I think if Zombie wins, which is the prediction I'm going to commit to, I just think he's going to cut him up with sharp striking. I just think he's going to break him up over rounds.
Yeah. You'd over 3 rounds, you'd expect Korean Zombie to the amount of strikes which he'll nail and put in. He'll put the work in, won't he? And tonight's the bonuses went, no surprise, Joaquin Buckley and Corey Sandhagen earned the highlight reel knockouts, a little extra cash. They both won 50 grand for, instead of no fight of the night awards, they instead handed out four fighters performance of the night bonuses, which was those two gentlemen plus Tom Breeze and Chris Dukas on the prelims for their knockout. So Sandhagen obviously won with a spinning heel kick. Buckley and the one with the jumping spin kick. And then you had Chris Ducascas, who made short work of Rodrigo Nascimento on the prelims, and Tom Breeze dispatched KB Bular in 2 minutes. And that was Denniston sneaking around in the back. Seen him.
Yeah, that was Denniston, the snorer. My God.
Snoring.
I'm going to have a long stick and I'm going to poke him every time he snores.
You just got to move him.
It's either that,
or
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll share the bed with him so I can just nudge him with my elbow. That'll scare him enough to not sleep.
Yeah. But so looking forward to another show. Mr. Ben Ellis joining us next week, which will be a good one. Very knowledgeable chap and always a good crack to talk to. So Cage Warriors fighter Ben Ellis will be joining myself and Danny next week to break it all down. And we've also got a UFC fighter lined up for the week after as well. So every Wednesday 8 PM the Danny Batten Fight Show. And I will end the show by saying, if you are interested in partnering up and sponsoring the show, particularly local businesses to the Northampton or Cardiff area, then get in touch with us via DM or whatever, and we'll have a conversation with you always. We've been doing some good numbers. Obviously some of the other shows we've got some sponsorship, and we've got a general relationship with Away Day Apparel. Check them out always, and we're always open to having conversations with such people. So if you're interested, get in touch. You can find all the details in the link description below, but you can also email me on acenetworkcontact@gmail.com, as well as all the various social media pages and Danny's social media as well, because he always uses social media. Danny does.
I use my Facebook a lot.
Yeah, I did see you got an Instagram account again now. You've opened another one. You've got about 4 Instagram accounts. Just don't use any of them. But there we go. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for downloading. We'll be back next Wednesday for another show with another guest. But in the meantime, be good. Don't be a dick.
Defending champion, welcome, Danny Batten.